Hi, this is Irina Shea, and this is part of our Wealth and Wisdom series. Today, we're going to talk about how do I protect a child with addiction or mental health issues. So, this is a very serious subject, unfortunately, not that uncommon. When you face a situation such as addiction or mental health, it really isn't something with a solution. It's more of a management issue over the lifetime of that individual. And so, there are certain things you can do to create an inheritance that is protective of them. And we're going to go over some of that today. So I'm going to share my screen here um, with sort of a general list of suggestions here. One is to leave a lifetime trust for the child. And that is because then the trustee of that trust can manage the assets and make sure that income and principal are spent wisely for the child. What would that be? The trust can own an apartment. It can buy a car. It can provide income, et cetera, for that child. Because often in these cases, the child is pretty deficient at financial management, and you don't ever want them out on the street. Okay, that's a worst case scenario. You need a roof over their head. You want them to be able to eat and have dignity. So a lifetime trust for that child is often indicated. Um, Another thing you can do if you can convince them to is to do for themselves a healthcare directive. And in the case of mental illness, there is also something called a psychiatric um, advanced directive, or PAD, PAD. It's sort of a collaborative document. It's not just a standard healthcare proxy naming mom or dad to make medical decisions if you're in a car accident. It's more than that. It's saying if they have a psychiatric break, they consent in advance to sharing information with mom and dad to have the psychiatrist or other treating physician notified. It's often carried in the child's glove compartment, for example, in the event there's a police stop or an incident, right? To be sure that there's a clear line of communication, and it has some authorizations for even for institutionalization. These are very, very serious matters, but there are structures and solutions that can help. So you may not be able to quote unquote cure or help to the degree that you need, but it's at least peace of mind that you're leaving behind structures that will help. Another is choosing the right trustee. So who should be the trustee? This is really difficult. It could be that child's sibling, but that's a tremendous burden on the sibling. It really depends on the relationship. It could be a family friend, an aunt or uncle, but the aunt or uncle will eventually age out. Or you could consider a corporate trustee. So corporate trustees are basically banks with trust companies. Those entities are tasked with professional management of um, beneficiaries that are going to need lifelong support. So there would be a trust officer assigned to the matter, and that trust officer would make sure money goes to the right people on behalf of the child. The trust provisions are flexible. Okay, what does that mean? You allow payments to vendors. Okay, so if you think the child is going to redirect funds to drugs, alcohol, or other purposes other than their own well-being, you have a trustee who will be able to pay rent directly to landlord, right? Or pay gas card, or um, pay, food bill, all these things directly instead of going through the hands of the adult child that is having the problem. It's not exercising good judgment. They have clouded judgment, um, on again, off again, etc. Again, these are very difficult things, but the trustee should be allowed to manage. The other thing a trust can do is trust can hire a social worker. So the trustee themselves does not have to be a full-time professional social worker monitoring your child if you're not around. They can absolutely use trust funds, right? Use trust funds to pay for social worker well checks and reports. So quarterly reports, yes, they're living on their own. Yes, they're doing all right. They may need this, they may need that. That's what social workers excel at. And certainly the trust is there to pay for those things. So the trustee themselves can be the overarching manager, but they're not necessarily having to get in the weeds. So if you do have a trusted relative, maybe it is someone from this, sibling, family, friend, or an uncle, and they can delegate somewhat to the social worker. Now maybe it's more palatable for them. Okay. So these are just a few ideas of how to handle these very difficult situations. We understand the sensitivities when these things occur and are happy to talk anytime. So if you'd like to schedule a consultation, you can go to our website at irinashea.com and click the Get Started button. Our consultations are free of charge. Thanks.